And welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayua Mesale, and it's such a great joy to be back on air. Hi, ladies. Hello. I have NJ and I have Glory. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
It's like we planned to do black-themed conversations today.
Yeah. I guess so.
Is it the topic?
I don't think so, but black is my favorite color.
How you saying no? Why are you trying to? No, don't go there.
Please.
Don't steal my spotlight, please. Well, Glory, how have you been? Has been the holiday? We took a long break.
It's a long break. I mean, I've been good. January, February. I was talking to someone today. Like it was a tough one, but I'm happy. Like I've learned a lot January, February, and I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back. I know we have a lot in store for our viewers. Like everything, even me coming to the studio, everything felt so refreshed and renewed. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to like bringing in so much input in our conversations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Super exciting to be back on air after such a, after such a long break. I don't know, Angie, how about you? We're seeing your blonding.
It's been an interesting year. Yeah, I took a short break just right after Christmas, and it was really refreshing. A good way to start the new year, because you come back ready to, let me hit the ground running. So year starts off, and it's pretty crazy. There's faiths, responsibilities, and then from there we went right into work, and it's been, from budgeting. Obviously you've done your budget, so now with the year starting up and the way things have been, you're trying to recost, and almost like your budget is ×2 now, so you're having to rework and do a lot of reworking, and a lot of companies are doing a lot of auditing. So it's been interesting, let me just put it that way. But it's like Glory said, it's great to be back on the show. It's great to be ready to hit the ground running in a new way. And there are lots of expectations for this year. So.
Absolutely. You know, when you were just talking, I'm just thinking, how is the dollar?
Please, maybe.
Accountant.
I'm
sure Glory is just about to calculate something and make payments to the client. The next thing they just say, I'm sorry, ma, the dollar.
It's just been, that's the reason I said, like, the year, January, February, I've had, like, a very tough start work-wise, trying to deal with a whole lot of fluctuation and everything, and also managing expectations. It's been really tough, but that just made me understand how I can also be resilient. So I also give myself like
a pat in the back.
Yeah, a pat in the back.
Absolutely. You deserve it. So today we want to discuss, so we found a story in the news that is speaking to, sadly we were not on air when the late Herbert Wigwe and his family, his wife and his son passed. So, I mean, when I saw the story in the report, I thought, okay, this would be a great way to then have some of our 2 cents in the conversation, right? And it was speaking about the church, the family, right, boycotting the church, saying that, they're not, they've done some of the burial rites, like arrangements and all of those things, and it is very visible that City of David is not in that, what's it called, ceremony, right? So, and that's the conversation we're having, and we want to tie it down to grief, and here's what we found as today's quote. It says, grief is not a disorder, a disease, or a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank Holding PLC passed away, of course, as we all know, on board a helicopter in the United States approximately 3 weeks ago. Prior to his passing, he was a prominent member of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. That's the City of David parish, to be specific, right? And he was a very prominent member there. And the burial, of course, is fixed for this weekend. and the family of Herbert Wigwe has shunned the activities of the church in the release of their burial program, as I mentioned earlier. So today we want to discuss the topic handling grief, and the question, and then focusing on the Wigwe family's boycott of the RCCG City of Davis Church. I want to understand why. I want to understand, in your opinion, do you think, it's the right thing? And do you think it was, like literally, let me just hear your thoughts around the church, around the family, handling it, right? And we'll do all of that. But first, let's go on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in today's news.
Whether you're a Gen Z, you're a Gen X, you're a millennial, you're an alpha, you're still under the same law that applies to every generation. So that you are dressing to suit yourself. Do you actually put yourself in the shoe of the other party to say, imagine I were to be a male person. Imagine I were to be a guy who by nature and by default, right, I get to see a lady's body and I am attracted. Right, my hormone starts to immediately starts to rise, starts to stand. I'm just so, oh my God, this girl is fine. And then you are now coming to dress that way, show me more of it. And then you think, when I look at you, the first thing I'm supposed to think of is, hey, what are you doing? What is your job? What do you do right now? Excuse you. The first thing I'm going to be thinking of, oh, how have we smashed this girl? How have we knocked this girl down?
You did not know, Waze has a new baby, right? It's Waze Breakfast. That is where the Gen Zs and the Gen Z buddies, So in case you want to catch it, you just stream live on Upgrade TV in the mornings at 8 a.m. You get to watch them. I had so much fun watching them today, right? We launched a beautiful baby today. All right, so March 1st is celebrated as Zero Discrimination Day. On this day, people get together from all around the world to put an end to unfair treatment and create a just and peaceful society. Leading the celebration are the United Nations and other organizations, and they invite everyone to participate in order to spark a significant reform movement. The theme of Zero Discrimination Day 2024 is to protect everyone's rights, to protect everyone's health. So from this day and going forward, we all should be intentional about putting an end to unfair treatment in the world. I kind of like this day. Today we had a slight issue in the office and we're trying to resolve the issue. And I keep on saying that, you see, when you're thinking fairness and you're thinking, this is, so at some point in conflict resolution, try as much as possible to think about all parties as opposed to just having one person. A lot of times, right, even with leadership in Nigeria, if our leaders were really considerate and they were just thinking, you know what, no discriminating against anyone and all of, I think everybody will be fine. The rich discriminate against the poor discriminate against the rich, the person that is privileged, the person that is, living with a physical challenge, right? There's just a lot of all of those things. But you see, where I'm missing Norma's words, consideration, you need to be intentional about being considerate about others, right? And find a balance in that, So I think it's a good day. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about the discrimination? Have you faced discrimination before? Like somebody has looked at you. Who is this? Who is this?
Not really per se, but I will speak about discrimination more to even when it comes to employment. I'll give an example. Like if you have an opening and you have your brother and you have that's not really qualified and you have someone that's qualified, I'm just going to ask you a question now. Help me. Who would you go for?
My sister is a qualified person.
So some people, it stems as from that, some people look at discrimination, they start looking at maybe racial discrimination, tribal discrimination, but it starts from little things like your interaction with your colleagues in the office. You know, some people have this mindset and they are just so stereotypic that this particular culture thinks this way. So even in their interaction, they're not really open.
Because you have a preconceived notion.
Yes, notion. So yeah, it's a very important day. It's a very important day, and yeah, it's worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was even going to say, when you touched on work, I was going to say that, you know, even today, right, you see someone, because the person has an international certification, right, and you have like in national certification, maybe you went to a particular school in Nigeria, and somebody that is, because the person went abroad and all of that, all of a sudden, right, it is disparity, salary discrimination, you know, somebody, even though the people are not that qualified, I know somebody that this happened to, right, it was almost like, you are here and all of that, so I think it happens across all the board.
Let me just speak more. It's as little as, so there's this scenario where even when you want to get a contract or a job, you know, within Nigeria, you find some organizations saying, do you have like an expatriate in your team? So they don't even trust the capacity of Nigerians to execute a particular kind of job. So for you to be qualified, like even if that expatriate is not qualified, for the fact that you have an expatriate in that team, like gives you an upper hand. So that's some sort of discrimination still, especially when people are qualified for roles.
Yeah,
so
that's why today is zero discrimination.
But can that happen?
It's not possible. But we'll just only try.
So
the whole essence was just to mention it.
To mention it and bring some awareness
Absolutely.
to it, which is quite true, because that happens everywhere. It happens in our homes, in church, school,
Workplaces,
work.
everywhere.
It happens everywhere. So discrimination is worldwide. So,
all right, so Angie, what did you find for us in today's news?
oh, so my news today is that for the first time in a long while, or in years, I don't know when last we had 24-hour power supply, but there's 24 hours power supply going to Aba, and that's to start this weekend, a week ahead of schedule. So
are we not supposed to do a drum roll?
you know,
give a round of applause.
Like, can you imagine,
we have to.
I was super excited when I saw that. Go ahead, NJ.
Yeah.
So Aba Power Limited, the subsidiary of Geometric Power, will start supply power to one of its 3 turbines to consumers within the Aba Ring fenced area this weekend, rather than 2 weeks that it originally scheduled. You know, the company has scheduled that it will take 13 days to commission and to do all the technical protocols and everything. But they have said that they would be going ahead of schedule. So this weekend, Aba should
It's too early
experience
to get excited. I don't want to like
power supply. See, there's a reason to be excited, yeah? And I'll tell you this. When things like this is happening within the country, it tells you that it's possible. You know, for a long time, we just get used to the way things are, the norm of it and everything, and we just feel like that's how we should get used to it.
Yeah.
But this just tells you that these things are possible. Availability has been made. We just need to use the resources that have been provided.
I was even going to say to NJ, speaking to what you're saying, right, we had mystified power, like 24-hour power supply in this country. We had like it was impossible. It became a mystery. So why I'm excited, right? I'm just looking at the possibilities. Aba is such an industrious region, and I keep on saying that we can't keep speaking buy Nigeria to grow Nigeria, and we're not paying attention to the guys in Aba. Right? I have seen amazing stuff come out from that place. Now imagine what a 24-hour power supply will do to that economy. I need to be excited. So leave me there. If anything
Like,
goes wrong, we can then come back. No, I get it, right? I get your pessimistic disposition. But I just want to, for a minute, just be hopeful that yes, nothing will go wrong. Right? Because what I mean, they have someone that is forward thinking as a governor, so it will go well.
This just tells you
NJ, I say NJ, Glory, what did you find for us?
my what's in the news. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday took a swipe at labor unions in the country, calling on them to maintain peace. The president took a shot at the unions in Lagos on Thursday during the inauguration of the State Red Line rail service. 2 days after Nigeria Labour Congress held a nationwide protest over the economic hardship in the country. Addressing those in attendance at the inauguration, President Tinubu asked for permission to throw a jab before sending a message to the organized labor, with main members being NLC and the Trade Union Congress. He said, the labor union should understand that no matter how long we cling to our freedom and rights, the first strike within 9 months of an administration is unacceptable. So I'm going to end there. So I want to ask, do you think like it's too early for us to feel the way we are feeling?
So while I agree with the president that, let me rephrase before somebody will come at me. The part I would agree with the president is that strike is not efficient, right? It has not been productive. We just waste time, sit down, carry placards and all of that. We have not brought anything substantial or tangible, right? But to your point about being early, I don't think it's too early. Like literally, right, nowadays, especially with the awareness and technology that is happening, that we have available, readily available, you can easily spot when something is not really going well. So you don't have to wait that long to know that something is not going right. So I don't agree with him on that point, right? It is the ineffective, nature of our strikes that I completely agree with. Let's find other means to solve our problem. I've never been one that believes in strike. I've never attended any strike. I will never attend any strike in my life because I don't think that is an effective way to solve the problem that we have. Right? There are better ways to go about it if you truly want to solve the problem. So most times what I see labor leaders do is they, of course, spark up this organized, strike, then go behind to go and collect bribes from some of these leaders. So what is the point? It's pointless to me. So I'd rather we sit down on a table and dialogue and go and hit it where it matters most. Probably go to the Senate, go and sit down there and say, we need these laws, we need these policies in place. We can find other means to solve our problem. But strike has never been the answer, and I don't think it will be the answer. I don't think so. So speaking to, in light of our topic, I just thought to bring to to the table rather, that a popular actor, I think his name is Tolani Quadri, Oyebamiji, aka Sisi Quadri, he's dead. Sadly, he passed today at the age of 44. And he just celebrated his birthday on the 23rd or 25th of December last year. So he just turned 44. And from the reports, I've really not been able to pinpoint what the cause of the death is, but he was really, really growing in the industry. He started off, and then moved on to makeup, moved on to a lot of things. Eventually, he does these skits that insults people and all of that, and he's actually grown. And the sad part, or will I say interesting part about this actor, he just featured in the upcoming Anikulapo, The Return of the Spectre, which is due, it has been launched on Netflix. It's also due to be seen across cinemas, right? In a short while. It's just so sad. Of course, some of his colleagues in the industry have sent their condolences, sent their messages, and all of that. It's sad. We keep losing people, I was looking forward to seeing where, the cause of the death was, because at 44, he's quite young, literally just starting life. And, since we're talking grief today, I thought, to bring that as my what's in the news. All right, so we take a very short break, right? When we come back from that break, we will be discussing the topic for the day about the boycott, all right? And just linking it with, managing or handling grief. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Exactly. I feel like the problem comes just right after you said, I like the way you're dressing, and you don't need to put that and when you're talking to me. I know that I look good, but it's you could stop like, I like the way you're dressing, period. Why do you have to take it to now you feel like, hey, I can say this to you and you don't want me to feel offended? Like, as you just said, everyone has a right to their opinion, great. I have an opinion to feel offended because why are you adding all that extra stuff to me? I don't know you from anywhere. Why are you telling me you want to knock me? Like, it's just like weird. Like,
I get it.
this is a stranger. It's one thing to admire. It's another step to walk up to someone, tell them they look good, and then now project what you feel like you want to do to them.
So
onto
when
them.
you admire, what thought comes into your head?
I'm just like, wow, this person looks good, and keep it pushing, because how many people do you see in a day that look good?
It says keep it pushing. All right, so the church plays a significant role in providing comfort, support, and a sense of community to those who are grieving. It offers spiritual guidance, practical assistance, and a space for people to come together to mourn. Now remember, of course, they would remember their loved ones, of course, and find solace. Now, Pastor Idowu Iluyomade, alludes that he was, Herbert Wigwe was a very committed member of the church and had profound impact, especially with the, the growth of the church, promoting some of the structural buildings that had, hundreds of millions being pumped in. Barely 2 weeks after the passing, right, the pastor's wife, Shiju Iliomade, threw a very extravagant, birthday party where she was celebrating her 60th. And some people have actually expressed some level of displeasure with the pastor and his family, alleging their insensitivity, especially because of the closeness that they had with late Herbert Wigwe. So it was a no-brainer when the report then came out to say that the family of Herbert Wigwe, right, boycotted RCCG, because in instances like this, usually the church where the deceased has been, serving and has been really like a prominent member should be the church that would handle all the burial arrangements and all of those things. So, it was not a surprise when that report came out to say that the family, they were boycotting, and, there were no visible signs of RCCG, City of David's Parish, participating in the burial. So it just got me thinking that, you know what, these are a lot of things playing out here. There's a show of insensitivity. There's a show of, you know what, I'm pained and I don't think you're seeing my pain. There's a lot of things happening. First of all, I don't know. Let me throw it out there. Is it okay if people just move on with their lives after a loss? Would you feel happy that, life is just going on? You just lost someone. I remember that we were supposed to have like a a 4th year anniversary party for Ways in December. I remember telling the team that, Gloria just lost her mom and she just did a burial. I think we should just leave this party thing out of it. It's not like we couldn't have done that, but I feel like it would just have been a way to just say, we're with you, even if we're not talking. I don't know how else to stress it. I've had several occasions where I've had to deprive myself of certain level of comfort and all of that, just because something happened and I need to give the person that comfort that, no, yeah, I understand what it is that you're going. I might not be able to do much. So a lot of people's arguments were, you are having a party, fine. It's your 60th. Only God knows what you are going through as a person. But for the fact that, this person was just not an ordinary member. You know how expensive that particular parish is. You know how expensive and grandeur their projects are. So it's not small money that whoever it is that is considered a pillar in the church would be, the least you could have done would have been what? Let me come to you, Glory.
I share the same sentiment with you. Like you said, when I saw that video, it's not even just the fact that she celebrated the birthday, it's just how extravagant it was. So that's what, spread the buzz and people picked it up, you know. And like you said, you have a valuable member of the church. He was not just his wife, his son, he died, and 2 other people. Like, no matter how much you want to celebrate, how could you not even feel like this person, just to give that person that respect, just even if you must do it, just have a low-key celebration. But it's like rubbing it in their faces. So I'm not surprised that the family had to make such a decision, because any person, I'll come back to myself, you know, in the course of I'm going to share my own personal experience, because I lost my mom last year, and I know how I felt, right? So I also feel like that was very insensitive for the pastor's wife throwing such an extravagant birthday party, really.
And you're speaking to death, and I'll come to you, NJ. Speaking about death, right? You know, it's one thing for somebody to die. It's another thing for the circumstances around that death. Do you understand what I'm saying? This was what you would call, by all classification, a very tragic loss.
Yeah.
You did not just die, it was in a helicopter crash. You died with your wife, your son, your only son. And, you know, and 2 other people in the plane. So, I mean, when you heard about the family boycotting RCCG, do you think they did, I mean, it was the right thing to do?
Right thing? Okay. So, it's not a right or wrong thing. I think, is a question of how they felt. They didn't feel okay with the way the whole event happened, and it was their personal decision based on conversation that they must have had. I think it's natural for someone to feel that type of way, to get that, for you to have that kind of reaction, because you have invested, you know, the late Herbert Wigwe had invested so much into the church, and I think as individuals, there was just that expectation for there to be some concession, you know, in some of the activities, and how, you know, usually, you know, at an event they would do a 1-minute silence, they would do something, there would be some level of how will I put it? It's not like the celebration shouldn't go on, but there would be some reverence, you know, in honor of this person or something like that. So it's not unnatural. Like, I'm not surprised that they will boycott them from something as big as this, because they felt hurt, and they are currently, the whole family is currently grieving and hurting. So they are very delicate when it comes to emotions. So, and this tends to happen even when, I'm sure, Glory, I have also experienced grief. In short, late last year, I also lost my aunt, my mom's sister, elder sister. And as much as she has lived a long life, it was unexpected. Like, we were rather, you know, it was unexpected. Let me just put it that way. She was very full of life, very, you know, very energetic, very vibrant. And then the next minute we just heard, oh, you know, she was ill, she got to the hospital, she got into a coma, and that was it. So it's most of the time you have to pass through the various stages of grief. First of all, you're in shock. I'm still in shock till now, because most of the time when I see it on our group chat, I'm just like, wow, my aunt is really gone. So it would take a while, and most of the time it never really hits until maybe the burial day. You know, once the grave hits the casket hits the casket hits. Yeah. Like, once that drop happens, that's the realization, and it brings you back to reality. So people have different ways of dealing with grief. I guess at the end of the day, it's just how you personally deal with it.
It's interesting that you said that. You know what? We're going to take a very short break, right? When we come back from that break, I'd like to bring some scriptural references that I feel like a lot of times churches always use, you know. I'll bring those references, and we'll open our phone lines. Hopefully we'll be able to get a call. If you have any opinion on this conversation, and like, just literally weighing in your 2 cents on it, right? Because at this point, you can't really tell the family if it's the right or the wrong decision to make. But stay with us. We'll be right back.
Is it really skirting? Obviously, a female will dress how best, you know, they want to feel.
Okay.
And if I'm putting on an outfit, obviously, I'm not thinking in my head, oh yeah, like I'm dressing for you to come and judge me. Like, no, I'm dressing for myself. I'm wearing what I know I'm going to feel good in, look good in, and act good in. It shouldn't be a case of, oh, because I'm dressing in some type of way that it gives you the audacity or the rights to even approach me or have such thoughts in your head. I mean, do you even know me? Do you know anything about me, bro? Like you don't even know me. Like, why is that the first thing that comes up to your head? I get you have your thoughts, yeah, but keep that to yourself, quite frankly. Literally keep that to yourself.
So if you just tuned in, we're discussing handling grief, right? And of course, we are referencing Herbert Wigwe's family boycott of the RCCG City of David Church. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also call our line. Our phone line will be open. Is 070-2500-7749. That's the number to call. Leave a message or, you know, call us, whatever it is. But I was going to say that, so I saw, you know how scripture sometimes is kind of like turned towards, you want to like make scriptural reference to just kind of justify some of your actions, right? And, you know, someone was saying something. I said, no, because again, there's this scripture that says heaven rejoices, right? When a believer dies, right? Because they believe that, you know, when the believer dies, the believer goes to heaven and the believer is reunited. And when you also die as a believer, you then reunite in heaven. So these are some of the scriptures that I've seen some religious, you know, houses like kind of like capitalize on why they do not mourn, right? Why they do not mourn. And it's the same scripture that still says that, you know, you have to go and rejoice with those that rejoice, right? And also mourn with those that mourn. This particular scripture actually, I mean, emphasizes the importance of empathy and compassion towards those that are grieving, right? Encouraging believers to share in their sorrows and provide support. Do you get what I'm saying? So in sharing in your sorrow and providing support, sometimes it means that I have to kind of step back a bit on some of the things. We all have our excesses. Like literally we all have our excesses. But I have had to send a dog that I had to Kaduna State. I've said this thing several times. I've had to send that dog. The puppy they just gave me the puppy when I had my first son. I sent the puppy to Kaduna State. Why? My neighbor said her daughter could not sleep because it was a puppy. And sometimes at night, the puppy was crying. So as the puppy was crying, it was affecting another baby somewhere else. You know, I would have as well said, please deal with it or go and get her earplugs or something. It is the ability to be able to consider that there are other people that are in this party. And in this case, right, I feel like it was the height of insensitivity. I don't know how people run away from these things, how they shy away from it, right? We actually tried to get, what's it called, a guest, like a pastor, because I really wanted to hear from their own opinion. I mean, from their own perspective. It was in no way right. But now I want to come back to the family, right? I don't think you can solve a problem with another problem, right? There's already a pain that you feel. But, you know, sometimes I feel like you need to show the higher road and tell people this is how things are supposed to be done. Because boycotting them is just, you know, like, you know what, it was expected. I would have taken a different turn. I don't know. It would have been painful, right? It would have really been painful. But I would have taken a different turn. Maybe just somehow, I don't know, in that means maybe they would realize that, no, we really, really messed up this time. But let me hear your thought, Glory, because you wanted to share your personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, experience.
yeah, if I was the one, right, recalling how I felt, I think I would have still reacted. I mean, I don't know the entire circumstances that led to them making that decision. But just if I have to draw my own decision based on what is out there, I would have reacted the same way. Because if I have my father or mother invested in an organization or a church or whatever it is, and it's still the same thing with you having, even in my case, right, we had a cousin. My dad literally like trained him through school. He wasn't in Nigeria. He did not attend my mom's burial. I know how hurtful I felt because we grew up with him. I know the role my dad played. I know the role my mom played. So that's the reason why I think I will still react the same way the family of Wigwe reacted. So coming to how people handle grief in different ways, you know. But the problem I usually have is how currently it's like we're trying to make everything into a ceremony. We're trying to like celebrate everything, you know, undermining people's feeling. Because in the process of trying to celebrate, some people undermine other people's feeling. Let me come back to myself. When I lost my mom, it was 2 weeks ago, I still thought about my mom and I got teary because this is my mom. She's impacted in me so much that it's not easy for me. Like sometimes, no matter how strong I get, sometimes in my quiet time, when I recall the kind of relationship I had with my mom and knowing that she's no longer there, I can't talk to her, I can't call her for advice, I can't, like, the normal sort of interaction I want to have with a mom, I now know I can't have it. I break down, right? So when my mom passed on, we had people that were like, so, you know, let's celebrate. Mama has lived a good life. Let's just celebrate. I'm like, what are we celebrating? She was young. She wasn't 90. What are you celebrating? I had some people tell me, like, we'll come and spray you money on that day. I'm like, really? Really? I had to cut the call because I wasn't just having it. So we've turned to, like, we consider everything as sort of celebration, and people just easily move on. I had someone tell me, like, oh, don't bother, you get over it in a day. Even like the next day, I had people call me and like, just be strong, it has happened, it has happened. I don't know, maybe that's their own way of consolation, but it wasn't comforting to me. It wasn't comforting to me. So people have different way of grieving. I feel like when people are grieving, you don't really need to totally understand how that person is feeling at that point. You just have to be there, just be supportive. No, even if you just have to keep quiet, hold the person's hand, right? Just say you can cry, feel free. But when you start making statements like, you're crying too much now, the person is gone already, no amount of tears to bring the person back, you know, just be fine, you'll be strong. Are you a baby? I had people tell me, like, you're crying too much now, are you a baby? Really? My own mom? I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to see her again. So the earlier people understand that people have different ways of grieving, and it's not in your place to really understand how that person is feeling. Just try to support that person the best way you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, let me come to you, Angie, because there's another comforting scripture. It says one comforting scripture often cited in the times of loss is Revelation 21:4, which says, He will wipe every tears from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This verse often gives hope, right, of a future where all suffering will cease, providing comfort to those who mourn the loss of a believer. So I'm bringing some of all the scriptures together because, again, these are scriptures I feel like religious bodies use to then say, you know what, we don't mourn here. We're just celebrating life. Let us celebrate and all of those things, right? So, I mean, there is there is pain and there is pain. Just hearing Glory speak, I remember when my grandfather passed. I've not had like an immediate family, like my mom and my dad, they're still both alive, praise the Lord. But I'm just saying to you that when my grandfather passed, because of the closeness I had with my grandfather, literally, right, I can recall that even up until the 5th year of his passing, sometimes I'll just be by myself and I would just cry, right? Because I really, really grew fond of him, right? And it was something that really touched me because it was a blessing that I was able to see him. He was old and gray. It's not like, okay, he was particularly a young person, but I still feel, even thinking about it sometimes. I've had a sister-in-law to pass. thinking about her sometimes, I feel the pain. Like, I wish you were here. You know, so many things, you know, would have been so different, right? Now somebody then comes up and there is a loss, and you're not even intentional about solving the person's challenge. Instead, your insensitivity blocks your mind completely. And this is not just throwing a shade at just the pastors of this late family. It happens to every single one of us. Even I remember that passing, you know, what's the name? AFCON was playing football. Everybody paused on the death and everybody focused. Even me, I even did a video on social media saying, I know that there's a loss right now, it's painful, but Super Eagles are playing finals and all of that, and I'm wishing them well. I'm saying to you that it's an unconscious thing that we do. So having said all of that, right, what would have been the best approach as a church? What do you think the church should have done, you know, differently? And how do we really start to understand that there is grief and grief needs proper handling?
Okay, well,
it's a lot.
it's a lot, and I don't know if I'm in the best position to speak on behalf of the church. But what, to the best of my knowledge, what I would say is that at least there should have been some, would I call it I won't call it a press briefing or anything, but the church should have come out to say something, especially the church in question. I don't think between the time that it happened, with all the comments on social media that I ever saw, you know, a member of the church or the church come out to say something. So I believe that there should have been some, I won't call it an apology, but someone speak up on behalf of the church to express how strongly they feel about what happened. Do you understand? Sympathize with the family based on what happened, you know, as a ripple effect. This has already happened, and this is how you know they feel, because you know that they're hurt at the moment. So, like, you know, try and get some closure, close up that gap between the church and the family. You know, let the family understand that you're grieving with them and that the church is in full support. You know, just reaffirm that relationship and that commitment to the wellness and well-being of the family in this grieving time. I think that's one of the things that I expected. Now, when it comes to how people grieve, everybody grieves differently, like we can all see. And at that point in time, everyone is a bit low on emotions. So people react differently while grieving from what they would naturally, you know, how they will naturally react. So I think it's very important for us to understand how everyone grieves. Or even if you don't understand, like Glory said, be there for them. Let them show your support in the best way possible. Let them know that you are there for them. You know, some people have gone ahead to you know, their gestures of, you know, some people bring food because they know that you're not mentally okay to cook. Some people just come, they want to wash your clothes, they want to help you do some house cleaning. Just be around you and help out the best way they can, you know, help you run errands. Just letting you know that at this point in time that you are grieving and you're going through this entire hurt and process, I'm here for you. I might not be able to do much, but the much I can do, here it is. This is me serving as a friend, as, you know, depending on how you're coming, but as a church and what have you. So I think it's very, very important for us to pay attention to some of these things. You know, previous shows we've spoken about how our mentality as Nigerians has totally changed, and a lot of things have been thrown to the back and eradicated like as if they don't exist. You know, human emotions and human empathy is very far-fetched and far from reach. And I think this is one of the things that we should pay attention to, because we start to act like we don't care what people say about how we do things, but we care when it's done to us. So, you know, give what you want to receive. And I think it's very, very important. This has just shone light on this. And I think that, you know, the church should be at the forefront of something like this. You know, the church should be at the forefront of something like this. Especially
this is the reason because we are a highly religious society, right? I was saying to a pastor friend of mine, I said, this is why we have a lot of these Gen Z buddies. Nobody wants to go to church, right? Nobody wants to be, because the church is supposed to be a place of comfort, a place of solace, a place of... So these days it just seems like, But I think we have a WhatsApp message. We have a WhatsApp message from Uche. It says, good evening, beautiful ladies. So great to have you back on my screen. We're happy to be here. Your topic, grieving, is as dynamic as human beings. It differs in all. Throwing an extravagant party as a church is totally uncalled for. Thank you so much, Uche. Yeah. So, like, literally, right? And this is because it was really tough having this conversation. You see the argument we even had in the group, you know, the WhatsApp group. Because every time people want to talk about these things, because these are like two sensitive issues. There's the issue of the church. There's the issue of death, right? So this is like combining two sensitive conversations, right? And having it. It is actually very sensitive. And there's absolutely no justification. I kid you not. I can literally stop. It's just like cases of where a couple is about to get married. We've heard those stories, right? Somebody was journeying to the wedding venue and they had an accident and died. The wedding went on. The wedding went on. I've heard that story several times. I don't know if, because maybe you might call me over whatever, but literally there's some things I can't even take.
No, that's empathy, and that's how it's supposed. I think that's how it's supposed to be, because that's what makes us human.
Because this party would have easily been moved. Do you understand?
They were just thinking about all the rice that they had cooked.
No, it's not about rice.
No,
No, I'm talking about
yeah.
If it is so for the wedding, right? Even if you've cooked rice, it's a wedding day. People have died. You understand? You can excuse yourselves. You can just do the what's it called? The joining and excuse yourself and leave. I've heard those kinds of stories and it happens all the time. And I'm just wondering that, you know, when things like this happen, the conversation is not really to throw shades at anyone. If things like this happen and you were in that situation, you understand? How do we start to understand that we have to do better? Right? So that it's no longer a thing of, no, let us just put certain kinds of like blanket to say, this is a no-no. You understand? These are the boundaries. These are things you needed to do. We would have as well gone ahead with our hangout or whatever in December. We didn't need to do that. And I don't even think you were aware of any of all of those things. I'm just telling you now. She was not aware. So it was not a thing that I was doing it to so that I can show that I am caring about this person. No. Whether the person is aware of it or not, what's it called? That empathy would account somewhere. It doesn't have to be directly to the party that is involved. Now, all of these things, yes. There is death. I have said this thing before, and there's tragic death. So you need to even understand that your mom was ill for a while. We were monitoring and all of those things. Yet it was as painful. Even though I can bet you that at some point at the back of your mind, because same with my grandfather, he was ill for a while. So we were kind of like prepped. Somehow, when illness happens like that, it preps you, whether subconsciously or consciously. But this is a sudden boah. Like you literally sleep and you wake up. So there was no sign, there was no sickness, it was just an accident. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the amount of shock that comes with such death is much more, you understand, than when someone maybe because when somebody is ill, whether you like it or not, the person gives you time to just familiarize yourself with the idea that I might not be here tomorrow. But when somebody just sudden, boah, like that, a death, do you understand? It's different. It's completely different. And that's why I feel like, you know, there are some things that we have normalized that we need to start going back. There's some things we have over-normalized, you know.
I think mostly, most people just see death like, or maybe, will I say they are just used to seeing tragic things that they've just become so accustomed, because that's the probably possible reason I want to give myself, like, tell myself that maybe some people are just so familiar with tragic occurrences that it's just one of those things,
norm,
yes,
right?
for them. because I really cannot, because that's what makes us human, for you to have empathy, for you to feel, for to consider, like you use the right word, be considerate, right? Even if you've never had that experience before, but sometimes just imagine what this person might be going through, or even if you don't want to, just respect that person, give that person time, just do something to show that this person is being seen, you're being considerate and you understand what's going on. I think it goes a long way. And also another thing is also the fact that we currently, like, burial has just become an opportunity to, like, celebrate and showcase
let's
and
even
show
go there.
off and all of that. So
You know,
like,
I was hoping you would not go there.
No, I will go there because it happened to, there were people
Because your
coming from my
culture,
mom's
yes.
burial to come and eat. It's just the food. Like, there are people that are literally ready to go to burial because they know they are just going to eat. It was, or is it like the rites and everything? God, during my mom's, I was so dumbfounded, for real.
So it's the same thing. Chinelo lost her grandma, our makeup artist, right? It's the same thing. They were asking. In fact, what was even shocking, she said, I think somebody that had died before, because the brother was not old enough, he was still a young boy. They told them that time it was some people that paid for the cow on his behalf, that he has to repay for that cow, then repay. So, I mean, like, literally in handling grief, that was a can of worm I was hoping you will not open, right? Some cultures are just, in fact, I think it's almost all the cultures. And I want anybody that cares to listen. I am grieving, I am grieving. Don't bring that crap to me. Because literally I don't understand how we have turned burial into full-blown ceremony. You know, I have said this several times that I can never accept the idea of a full-faced makeup. Do you understand? You're wearing full-face makeup, you're going for a burial, you're wearing a corseted dress, you're dressed up as if you were heading for a wedding. I can never accept it. No way, celebration of life. Please don't bring that to me. No!
Yeah, you're right.
Don't bring it. I was hoping you would not let me raise my voice this evening, because that is the conversation.
That's the truth, yeah.
Because
we need to
someone
put it
is
out
grieving,
there.
right?
We need to put it out there.
And you think it is okay for you to carry that kind of, extravagant behavior. It is too much.
Yeah, that's a bit exaggerated.
It's too much. You see full-fledged makeup as if they are going for a wedding. Like, face beat, everything on point, and they tell me it's a celebration of life. Please don't bring that to me. Don't bring that to me. I think we've gone overboard. Burials till tomorrow, I still respect the northern culture, because it's never meant to be a celebration of jamboree. You do party, throw this and all of that. My people in Edo State, come on. It is party.
I think the party part of it is everywhere. It's a celebration. But this also still goes back to what we've been saying about where our mindset is as people. Yeah? For you to have people that consider empathy as something that should be a norm in times of grief, they have to even know what it is. Like, those things are slowly have eroded. Like, you find people that have it, that are able to empathize and tell you how you see how people react to it. They start to ask you, what is it? Why are you looking for me? Did they send it to me? Just even when you care, because people are not used to that feeling. People are not used to, people asking, oh, are you okay? Let me do this for you since you're grieving, People are always very, like, what is it? Are you monitoring me?
So we have to stop it. And that's why I say, I've said it to anybody that cares to listen. God will keep my parents to old age.
Amen.
My father has already said it, that anywhere, all these things that you're carrying cups from one place to another, don't try it with me. So God will just keep them to ripe old age. Nobody should bring that with me. Honestly, I will leave you and the dead body. Because the person that is there is already gone. I will leave you and leave the dead body. Don't come with me to that thing. Because all that thing, somebody is grieving, and that is that time, come with all those your overbearing demands. It's too much. But we have another WhatsApp message. It says, Uwa, this is my problem with churches. You're only valued when they have something to get from you. The moment you don't bring money again, you become invaluable to them. Even if Herbert Wigwe was not a big donor in the church, as a member, right? Courtesy at least demands you show some respect to the grieving family. The church needs to be intentional and do better when it comes to caring for people, not just their members. Preaching Christmas is not enough. They should start acting Christ. Jay from Lekki. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you.
All right, so I think on that note, my darling friends and sisters, I just was hoping that we will not scream today, but you people, glory went there. Glory went there. But hey, thank you so much. You know, we've had a fantastic conversation, and we really send our deepest sympathies, you know, and condolence messages to the family of the Wigwe. They will be burying them this weekend. I mean, when I saw the vision that man had, it's not something that, you know, me that I've never met him in my life. I'm feeling it, not to somebody not to talk of someone that you had a very close relationship with him. Please, let's do better and let's be more sensitive, you know, to the plight of the people, especially for those that are grieving, you know, around us. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, but in case you missed our quote for today, let me bring it back again. It says, grief is not a disorder. That is in the state of mourning. Hold their hands and just give them some level of comfort. We'll see you guys Monday as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Ciao.